You talk about press,
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
Okay, this is also very unique. Since I think it's 4 or 5 years ago, we can say that Rework was on almost every media worldwide. So it's if we take the U.S., so it was Fox News, it was CNN, it was ABC, it was even on Glee, and many other newspapers, of course. It was New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, or and I'm mentioning just the major ones. It was almost everywhere. It was in Europe, all over Europe, in the major TVs and newspapers, magazines, in Asia. Just name a country. We were also in in Iran, one of the newspapers, in Yemen TV. So no borders here.
So have you received any blowback at all because it's an Israeli invention, or not really?
No, we didn't see anything, that it's Israeli, not Israeli. So everything was just Rework, and
why do you think you got so much press coverage? What was the impetus for
it's
all that?
it's the project is very very unique in the sense that this is the first time that there is a technology that restores physical functions of paralyzed people. Somebody get injured, car accident, any sports accident, whatever. And until a few years ago, just a few years ago, the only solution was a wheelchair. So when somebody is in hospital and it finishes, the acute phase of the treatment, the doctor comes and says, from now on, the only way for mobility is a wheelchair. And this is something that Amit, the inventor, challenged here. He asked himself, how come the technology, it's so advanced today? We have everything smart. We have spaceships, and we have very high tech, and wheelchairs are still the only solution. If you go to history, you find wheelchairs on some Chinese artworks, Greek, and so we have pictures of wheelchairs from 2,500 years ago.
And so, briefly, could you just kind of hit on?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just a second. Just gotta change the angle.
Okay.
But can you kind of maybe hit on Israeli biotech? What does Israeli biotech mean in the global community, and how is Israel special in that respect?
Okay. If you talk about biotech, it's very very broad. So it can be medication, and can be nanotechnology. It can be medical equipment. We are in the arena of medical equipment, and where Israel is much more advanced in medical equipment than medication. In order to develop a medication, it takes very long time and a lot of money. So the investment is huge in medication. So you have the big companies, and so we have Teva, we have some small ones, and they try. But in medical equipment, we are much more advanced, and you see just in our area, if you take Yokneam, you can find many medical equipment companies. And this starts from education. The number of engineers in Israel is, the ratio per population is very high. I think if you compare to other places in the world. So we have the talents here, we have the skill, and medical equipment is very attractive. You deal with people, you deal with treating, some diseases and some situations with people. So that's how it developed here.
And so, kind of going forward, where do you see Rewalk in 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah. This is a very good question because our aim is eventually to replace the wheelchair. And what we mean is that a paralyzed person gets up in the morning, instead of getting into the wheelchair, getting into a rewalk, going outside, going to work, going for to see a movie, wherever, using the rewalk. So it will be the only solution. Today, the gold standard for paralyzed people, for disabled people, is a wheelchair. There's no other solution, and we are going to change it. So it will take years, maybe 5, maybe 10 years, but this will become the standard. And that's our aim. Without, if we don't target to that, it will be a waste.
And so, do you see Rewalk in the third world, in less developed countries, Latin America?
Yeah, it will come. It will come. When you first time introduced TVs, it was in America, it was in Europe, and only then it went to to the third world. But it's the same. It's not it's a quite costly device. But we hope that within 10, 20 years, technology will allow us to make it cheaper.
And so, are there at this point any kind of limitations with the device that really prevent it from mass usage?
It's only penetration. It's since we are the first one. Reebok was the first one. If you go just 5 years ago, even if we talked with doctors, they were very skeptical. When the first time that we showed videos of Radi walking, people asked us, okay, now show us how he walks without the Reebok. They didn't believe that he is paralyzed. So this is, we believe it's with any new technology, it's a new innovation. If you go to textbooks, you don't find it. If you have, a prosthesis or another orthosis, it's in textbooks for years. So so there's a new technology, there's a new product, but people know what is it. When you say Reebok, you don't find it anywhere. So we go to hospitals, we teach physiotherapists, we teach doctors how to use the Reebok. There's no textbooks about it. So the only textbooks is what we produce here. So we believe that in a few years, it will be in textbooks. So when a physiotherapist, go to school, student, when he opens the book, he finds, so there is this solution, that solution, and there is a Reebok. Once we reach this point, the acceptance of the device would be much bigger.
Do you know what the potential market is worldwide, of how many users might be out there for this device?
Yeah. Let's say the potential market or immediate market for the Reebok is, if we take the Western world, so it's America, North America, and Europe, it's about 300,000 paraplegics. We talk now only about paraplegics. It means these 300,000 people, these are in age, in socioeconomic, level that they can allow buying or getting the Reebok. So that's about the number. But if we go worldwide, the number is much bigger.
How far away do you think you guys are from FDA approval?
Currently, we are FDA listed for institutional use of the device. So the Reebok is already in, I think, about 20 hospitals in the US, and the number is growing every day. And we hope that by the year end, we will have the clearance for personal use. And then paralyzed people will be able to buy a unit, to buy a Reebok, take it home and use it for daily use.